Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1970s.
I'm surprised you haven't figured it out, Edie. Don't you see? I am an alien too.
This is episode 216, recorded May 22nd, 2024.
Gruesome Magazine.
Oh boy, I am your host, Doc Rodden, and this podcast about horror films released between 1970 and 1979. Each episode, my co-host Jeff Mohr and I will tackle another classic, or not so classic, film from this wondrous, groovy, gory, and influential decade. Tonight, we're reviewing The Alien Factor from 1978. But before we get into that, let me introduce my crew, starting off with the one and only Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I'm wondering where I can find, CDs of that rock band Atlantis that was in this movie. They were good.
Yeah.
Just do like in the old days. Just tape it on a tape deck.
I'm doing great. I am doing great.
All right. Also joining us tonight is Bill Mulligan. He's a writer, director, special effects guru, all around nice guy. And
okay, Foster Brooks.
Foster Brooks, published author
of Rom. Yes,
Rom.
Tale of Terror, Lawyers, Demons, Who Wins, Who Loses, Who Cares? Yeah, I'm so happy to be here because this movie means a lot to me. I'm not gonna lie about its quality, but boy, I've got a history with this film.
There you go. So. Also joining us tonight, and I'll do it in my best Foster Brooks, is
I'm fine, Doc.
I can't do Foster Brooks as well as you. You did a great job. Oh my gosh. And those who remember who Foster Brooks are, 10 points to your side.
They're as old as we are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Let's go farther back to Frank Fontaine.
Frank Fontaine.
Wow.
No.
You don't know that
one? I don't know that one. I don't.
He was on the Jackie Gleason show, and at the end of the show, Jackie Gleason was a bartender named Joe, and he was wiping off the counter, and this Frank Fontaine would come in, and he was a drunk, and he had a all dented up hat, and he'd be like, they'd tell Joe, "What are you doing, Joe?" And then he'd say, "Well, you're gonna sing one for me tonight," and he'd sing, and then all of a sudden he sounded like Jim Neighbors or something.
Right.
Oh man. All right. Well, we're getting into a review tonight of The Alien Factor. Settle down for this one. This is a strange one. When we get into it, we're going to share when we first saw this movie and, what was our first impression and does it hold up today. And then after that, we'll get into a discussion about the film, the people involved, lots of cool stuff to discuss here. And then after that, we have some feedback. Is that right, Jeff?
We do indeed.
All right. Before we get into that, Jeff has a little bit to say about Play Now Media.
Hey. Gruesome Magazine and Decades of Horror partners with Play Now Media. And I believe, in fact, our tonight's selection is shown on some Wicked Horror TV, I think, or was it? I'll look it up and tell you in a minute.
No, I think it was on Wicked Horror, yeah.
So anyway, Decades of Horror, the 1970s, is on the Wicked Horror TV channel. Their streaming service that you can sign up for it and watch for free if you don't mind ads, and you will miss out on some premium content. And if you pay a modest monthly fee, you will get to see everything without ads.
Yes.
And we're there. We are there.
We are there. I watched The Alien Factor on that, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
cool.
Yeah. All right.
The ads kind of helped with the Alien Factor because you got to see some good production values every
once in a while. Yeah. All right, let's take a look at the card before we get into things. Let's just do it. All right, The Alien Factor, 1978. Look at that. Look at those visuals. Oh my god.
Oh man.
He looks like he drank too much Hawaiian Punch, and
looked like they put a lava lamp in front of the lens.
He's farting Hawaiian Punch. That's what he's doing. All right, writer, director,
editor, producer.
Editor and producer is Don Dohler. The cast includes Don Leifert. Yes, all three of those. Tom Griffith, Richard Dizell, also known as Dick Dizell, Mary Mertens, George Stover, and no.
Oh, got him in there twice.
He's so good. He's in there twice.
Yes.
Yes. Production company is
Dude,
Cinematic
price of
Visual
one.
Effects. Filming location is Maryland, USA. Wow. Filming dates are October 1976 to March 1977. Asterisk.
And there are some disagreements about that.
There you go. Release date May 12th, 1978. The budget is a whopping 30,000 smackaroonies. The synopsis: a spaceship crashes in a sparsely populated area of Earth, and 3 horrific aliens survive the accident. The grotesque extraterrestrials soon begin to terrorize the locals until a mysterious stranger shows up claiming to be able to save the day. Yeah.
Here I come.
Not for that poor dude, though.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what he looked like after the aliens got done with him.
All right. Well, let's start off by finding out, when did we first see this, and what was our first impression? Who chose this?
Was it me?
Was it
Birthday
you,
boy.
Chad?
Birthday boy.
Happy birthday! You start off. Give us the spiel, sir.
Y'all, thank you for the happy birthday. This is the first time I've ever seen this. I saw it. It has a really cool poster, so that's what made me say, "Hey, let's do Alien Factor."
Sucker.
And oh yeah, I got suckered in by it. But I actually, the alien lands. There's escaped 3 escaped extraterrestrials, a la the Thing, and just then they're rampaging through the countryside. It was great. It has a certain charm to it that I really love. That it's just like when you're a kid and you're out in your backyard shooting a film on there's a Super 8 or something like that. It's just got that kind of charm to it, where it's just homemade monsters and that don't make any sense in the way they look or anything. They're just monsters, but they're pretty cool. And the story I really liked a lot too. It was a well-written story, and the monsters are just off the wall. I love the monsters. It's just a little bit of stop motion in there, and some practical stuff. And one of the monsters I recognized from an old issue of Famous Monsters of Filmland. Yeah. And I always wondered, who the hell is that? Who the hell is that? Who the hell? Now I know. After all these years.
40 years later.
Yeah.
Maybe longer. Maybe longer.
Yeah.
All right.
Not that young.
Up next is Bill Mulligan. Bill, when did you first see this? What was your first impression? And most importantly, does it hold up today?
It is exactly what this movie is. Timeless. This movie will look the same and give the same vibes 100 years from now, and will probably be more remembered than many better movies, for what it's worth. I have such a relationship with this movie because I was a monster kid. I got a Super 8 camera for my birthday when I was like 12 or 13. And at some point later on, I discovered a magazine called Cinemagic, which was published by Don Dohler. And it was how to make horror, science fiction, fantasy films with your Super 8 camera, or whatever you could get a hold of. And at some point they decided, by golly, we've been doing this magazine about how to, what am I frozen there?
You are.
I am frozen. Can you hear me though?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
This is an amazing ventriloquist trick. I'm going to drink a glass of water.
I'll move my mouth to your words, Bill.
There you
That
go.
didn't work.
Anyway,
So they did they did a whole bunch of articles, including like how to make a set, showing how they did the sheriff's set. Just basically put a gun rack on the wall in a basement. Loved it. At every point, we got to see how this movie was made, and finally got to see it when it came on TV. And it is exactly what I expected it would be. I mean, yeah, now it's like we've lost the light here. I'm just a disembodied voice. Oh, it was great. It was great. Yes, look, this movie is padded. It's got more walking around the woods shots than any 10 movie should have, and oh boy. But it's got a bunch of cool monsters who I know by name. I did not even have to look them up.
oh my God.
I knew the Zagatile was the stop motion one at the end. Yeah, you know, it's so cool. The monsters are great. It actually has a pretty good plot, and it has some of the most god awful acting you will ever see. People, and it shows you something. You go out and you make a movie. I mean, and this movie really did inspire me to keep going with this. It really did. So, and I think it's had that effect on a lot of people because it's so. It looks like, wow, if they could do it, I could do it. You go out, you find people to be in your movie, and you discover something that actual movie stars have a certain look, and your friends do not have that look. These guys are so ordinary looking, and they're not photographed in a way that does them any favors whatsoever. Makeup, hairstyling, non-existent. Lighting, we call it the sun. And sometimes we forget that we shouldn't have the sun going into the camera, making everybody in silhouette. These guys were making a movie without knowing all the rules of movie making. It shows. And what Chad said is absolutely true. That gives it a unique charm that makes me love it all the more. I don't know that most people can sit through this movie unless it's through the cinematic Titanic version, which was quite funny. I watched it straight, and then I watched it on cinematic Titanic.
Oh, man.
What they did with it, and they had a good time. I think that's the only way my wife would enjoy it. But for me, this is another nostalgia trip back. I got to meet some of the people involved in this. I have a great deal of respect for Don Dohler, who made a bunch of other movies, never got particularly good at it, but so what? You know what? He went out and he made movies. Didn't just talk about it, didn't just tell people how to do it. He went out and did it himself. And there's a lovely documentary about him called, I think, Beasts, Boobs, and Blood. And it's definitely worth checking out. He seems like he was a really sweet guy that I think I would have had a good time talking to. So thanks for picking this, Chad. I don't know why I didn't. It just never even occurred to me.
I'm glad I did too.
I'm going to buzz off and come back on.
You got it. You got it. Jeff, you're up next. When did you first see this? What was your first impression?
Well, I watched part of this a couple months ago when I was looking for a movie to pick, and I only watched like 5 minutes and went, yeah, I'm not doing this one. I didn't know anything about the story behind it or anything, but it's definitely, it's definitely worth a watch because in my opinion, this is definitely a movie that's so bad it's good. Mostly because of the dialogue and the silliness and I mean, Chad said it had a good story. Maybe it does, but the dialogue is terrible. And we'll get into some of that later. But oh my God, when we started that off, I couldn't believe he introduces like 6 characters in one 30-second phone call at the beginning of the movie. You know, it's the mayor and it's Ted and Vance and Ruth and Steve and Mary Jane and Rex and you know it's just all in this little phone call. Oh, and Pete the other deputy, all that stuff, and then every time they talk to somebody, they use their first name. Now,
sure,
I kind of like it when they identify people so you can remember who they are, but because there's a lot of movies where I'm watching, I'm going, what the hell was that guy's name? You know, you never see it. But this was like too much. But the monsters I thought were really cool, and I'm glad Bill came back because I know he's going to kick himself a little bit. But the I think you meant the stop motion creature. Is that what you were talking about?
Is that the Lemoid?
That's the Lemoid. Yeah.
See, what do I know? You're right.
Zagatile was the guy with the funky feet,
the big feet, and the funny
funky feet fool.
Heavens to Zagatile.
I had a great time with this, and the dialogue was just friggin' hilarious. The sheriff was like, I couldn't tell if he was trying to do Jeff Foxworthy or LQ Jones, you know. He was just,
that coonskin cap on top of his head the whole time.
Yeah. Anyway, I think I'll stop there. But I like the creatures. I thought the creatures, you know, if they were. Now, this guy didn't have any feel whatsoever for the idea that we're not going to, you know, less is more. No. I'm showing the whole friggin' creature, close up, long shots, front shots, side shots, everything, which was kind of cool. I felt like I got real good at them, and I thought that the funky foot fool was kind of cool. I kind of liked him. I didn't understand why the stop motion animation thing was transparent, but maybe that was because it was like, maybe it was another dimension or something. I don't know, but or maybe it was budget. I don't know.
I think I have an explanation when we get to that.
Okay, cool.
Oh, nice.
So anyway, it's hilarious, and I would agree. One of our followers and guest co-host, I think it was Gregory Crosby, linked this cinematic Titanic. Is that what that's called?
Mm-hmm.
The show. Told us about it, or told me about it anyway. I didn't know about it before, and that is hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. Some of the people that used to be on MST3.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I'll stop there. I had fun. But yeah, these are regular people. These are regular,
more regular than
regular Joes and Richards and stuff. This movie, woof. It is so bad. It is so bad. It's ambitious. It is overly ambitious. It's more ambitious than they have any right. and the fact that they were as successful as they are, given their limited budget, I suppose there's a lot to be applauded for. But yeah, I'll say this. Everything I'm going to say is going to sound like a left-handed compliment, but
yeah,
I've seen a lot worse monsters in more profile budget movies preceding this and after this, but they're still, they're just not filmed in a way to give them any kind of atmosphere at all. They're just kind of like,
here I am.
Yeah, boom, there they are, which I suppose has an interesting effect. I mean, it was,
well, when you can't afford lighting and
right.
Yeah. I never got lost. I never got bored, but man, this movie tested my patience at the same time. It was just so, I was like, do I want to watch this anymore? I don't know. So I'm not a fan of it, but I'm glad we watched it. I had regardless of what I think of the movie, I had a good time watching it. We'll put it there, and I'll just shut up and let you guys enjoy.
I should say, when I said it had a good story, I should have said the premise is
the premise, right, not the dialogue.
Yeah, the dialogue does suck, but the premise of a ship crashing and 3 escaped aliens get loose from the ship,
that's gold.
You can't beat that as far as a premise for a movie. And but
many a science fiction story
there was critters, but
have been made based on a ship going around collecting people for their collecting aliens for their zoo on their home world kind of thing.
Yeah, crash landing here.
What you guys were talking about the walking, and there was, oh my God, was there walking, and it's multiple people have to walk through the same stretch of woods and snow and stuff. But the one that really killed me right off at the beginning, when Rex and Mary Jane are making out in the Volkswagen station wagon, which I immediately identified with because a buddy of mine had one of those, the same color. Well, it kind of swapped. It was more like the car was dark blue with the pieces light blue instead of the other way around. But anyway, when the monster shows up, Mary Jane jumps out of the car and takes off running, and the camera follows her running through the field until she gets out of sight. She goes like over the horizon. I'm like, what in the world?
She may be running still. They never yelled cut.
Yeah, this is kind of a cool shot. This is kind of a cool shot. I'm gonna stick with it. Yeah.
You should have saw it at twice the speed like I did.
She took off. She was like Benny
Road Runner.
Anyway, yeah, the walking through the woods. We see the journalist walk through the woods. We see the mayor and Zachary walk through the woods. We see
at least they went somewhere. They went somewhere cool, at least. Somewhat cool. Define cool.
Yeah. There's a lot. Every shot could probably be trimmed, but then they actually went the whole scene with the motorcycle guy. I guess they put that in later to pad it out. It's like this movie's already pretty padded, considering how much dialogue and how many monsters and how much is going on. There's an awful lot.
I was trying to figure out why that was in there, unless it was to show the Zachary alien looking, helping out the blonde. Anyway, fixed her facial scrape, whatever that was.
There you go. But at least they did show that there were other people in this world other than the multitude of actors that were.
Yeah, it's also one of those movies where you can tell it took a while to shoot because whether there's snow or not snow on the ground seems to change.
Yeah,
even during the scene.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I read somewhere that it's in IMDb it says it was shot and the dates that were on the slide, but somewhere else I thought I read that most of it was shot in like 72, and that. When they finally got distribution, they finished stuff up in 77, but I don't know. I don't have the Blu-ray.
Wow. How did that happen?
It's out of print and it's like $80 or $90 on eBay.
He writes petition letters to Scream Factory every day, demanding that they put it out on
or Warner Archive. Hey, you need to make some more of these.
This needs to be in the Criterion collection.
There you go. Before we get into the posters, I guess we should do the one tagline we have, right, Chad?
What is the point?
There's a point. There's a point.
There's a point on top of my head for doing these taglines.
No.
So now it's time for Taglines with Chad.
Gentlemen, your taglines for this week's movie, The Alien Factor, is as follows. They brought terror from beyond our galaxy. Thank you. That is it for the tagline.
There you go.
So that's been Taglines with Chad as played. Whoops, what was that?
Image free.
Truer one.
And it was such a good feed in too. Taglines with Chad.
There he is.
That's played by Chad, his own self.
Oh, I guess we
that tagline
can't complain any longer about this
movie. I looked hard for another tagline, but that tagline was everywhere. It was on every box, every poster, everything.
They couldn't afford a marketing.
Speaking of posters, I don't remember this.
I don't remember this poster at all, but I saw it and it was like this. Maybe this was for a foreign release or something because nothing in this is remotely having to do with the Alien Factor. But it's very cool. It's got a Euro look to it. So I don't know where it came from or where it's going.
This movie has some cool.
There's a motorcycler.
Yeah. There is.
Yeah, the guest motorcycler made it.
Doesn't look anything like the guy in the movie.
Nor does the girl.
No, where did she come from? I would like to have seen more of her.
And what is that?
Like
what is that?
Covered a heavy metal magazine and then slap the Alien Factor logo.
Looks like they got a spaceship or something up there.
Looks like from 2001, doesn't it?
Yeah, probably is.
Oh, well, let's go to this one.
There's the one. Lots of monsters.
All the boogers running around, and the font, real cool font. I will give them credit for a good logo.
Oh yeah, they had an article about how to do the logo too.
Ah, nice.
They made this movie earned them a lot of good Cinemagic articles. I love that. I love that magazine, man.
What is this?
I don't know, but it's in another language, right?
Yeah,
it is indeed.
It's French, I believe, but
it's French.
French.
A double program. Yeah, I bet they're eating French fries in the back.
French fries.
Yeah.
And we did take a look at this. There's the logo at the top, and then.
And I wish they'd photograph this creature a little bit better. I like that. I mean, it's simple. I know you're just soaking yarn in latex and putting it over a wetsuit or something, but by golly, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, it looks like some kind of ancient space mummy or something.
Yeah, it does.
So it said the guys that played the creatures made the creatures, except for the Lemoid. I don't know about this one, but did you guys notice that John Dodd was listed as a production assistant, and it's the same John Dodd that did the Deadly Spawn and some of the creatures for Spookies and stuff like that.
Deadly Spawn,
yeah,
production assistant.
I think Cinemagic is also the first time I heard of Deadly Spawn. They So here's Don Dohler in later years. He actually had some degree of fame as having come up with the character Pro Junior that was used by R. Crumb and a number of other underground cartoonists. And I forget what it was. He had a real job, but he did a lot of magazine stuff, and he produced this wonderful stuff here, all of which, the Cinemagic, the B-movie horrors, Amazing Cinema, these are all like featuring his films on the cover. And why wouldn't he? If I was publishing a magazine, oh no, another Blood of the Mummy cover. Yeah, so he used the magazine stuff to push his own product, which is great. I have every single one of these except for the Underground comic. I loved his stuff.
Well, it sounded like he started making 8mm movies when he was 12. So
Super 8 and 8mm were difficult to work with. You had to cut. It was not like today where you have video and you can edit on Premiere and you're not actually cutting away and stuff. When you edited Super 8,
maybe you said this, but I missed the actual word. You talked a bunch about Cinematic, but he was the creator editor of that magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
he was the creator, editor, publisher. This guy did a lot. And all in Baltimore, which is not exactly a movie mecca. Although John Waters was there too.
There you go. That's true. Some more about Don Dohler. There's some more of his films. Yep. Night Beast, Galaxy Invader, The Fiend,
otherwise known as The Mask That Roamed.
Yeah.
So The Mask That Roamed.
Yeah, it's just the head of the monster that's really the only thing that was interesting about it. And it would just walk around with his chompers.
And there's the documentary they made about him, Blood, Boobs, and Beast.
Nice. And I guess that's the picture at the top from the cover there with the.
Yeah.
Now, did you see any of his shorts? Because he did like 4 shorts that look like a whole bunch of.
I don't know what I probably would recognize the names if I saw them.
Like To Die or Not to Die, and The Horror of the Id, and The Mystery of Mr. Clay. I will confess, I have not seen any of these films.
You've not seen Night Beast?
I've not seen Night Beast or Galaxy Invader or Fiend.
If you have the guts, it wants them.
There you go. There you go. That's hilarious.
Now that's a tagline right there.
Now, what's the deal with Alien Factor 2, the Alien Rampage?
I got to look into that because, I'm not clear that it's really a sequel. I have not seen Alien Factor 2, but I guess he produced it.
He wrote it and directed, according to.
Oh, did he?
IMDb, yeah.
Well, let me see. Oh, you're absolutely right.
I don't know anything about it, though.
From 2001.
The tagline is, "It's happening again, Chad. It's happening again.
It keeps happening."
Well, now I got to seek this out.
Yeah, he died at the age of 60, huh?
And it's still got George Stover in it. Yeah, he died very young. He cancer or something. He was starting to. It's interesting. Look, the documentary Blood, Boobs, and Beast. It's bittersweet because he really just wanted to make monster movies, but they were like pushing. You got to have more sex in it and everything, and he just wanted to make his goofy little monster flicks. But like a lot of people discover, it's one thing. Making a movie is easier than distributing it and getting paid for it.
Yeah. Apparently, he had such nightmares with Blood Massacre. In 91 that he quit until I guess 2001, gave it a try again. But he also started a film appreciation magazine called Movie Club. Did you ever? I
just learned about that reading. I never did see Movie Club. Now I want to seek it out. I'll say this: some of Cinemagic, maybe all of them, are available on the Internet Archives. People have downloaded them because I'm sure they're difficult to find. This could not have had a huge press run at all.
No.
I'll never part with them.
Of course we did that, and then there's some more of the cast members, which, like you said, there's so many people in this movie. I'm rather impressed. But I guess it's just like get every single friend you have and get them on board, right?
And they're not well photographed. They're not well lit. Sometimes the choices made during a dialogue scene are puzzling, like the person talking, all you see is the back of their head. It's it just quietly violates a lot of the rules of how you present dialogue. And yet again, you do get the feeling these people can't even act as themselves. The conversation they're having here, there's no natural quality to it whatsoever. And the guy on the left there is Don, by the way, at the top on the left. That's Don Dohler.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. They said he played Ernie, but that was the only three guys they never said. Nobody ever mentioned their names. I knew he was one of those three guys. But, well, you know, just I got kind of a train of thought thing going here. So another one of those is the little kids playing, and apparently two of those were his kids. Their name was Dohler anyway.
Sure,
kids
didn't
or
have to pay him
or something. Slow motion shots of kids in silhouette playing in a field, throwing a ball around.
That went on about 3 times longer than. And that's some of the best photography in the movie too. So I don't know how, you know, did he learn how to use a light meter right about then, just before the movie was over and they're shooting the kids scenes? Because that was actually pretty good. There's a couple of good shots in here, but so much of it is underexposed or overexposed or just exposed.
Exposed. That's the problem.
I'm wondering if the the vehicles they use is a sign of the budget, because they're probably just personal vehicles, right? But I thought it was hilarious. The police car was like I didn't notice if it was a Chevy. It was either a Nova or a Buick Skylark or a there's a third one, but I can never remember what it
just
is.
Like the actors are ordinary, their cars are ordinary. You know,
yeah.
Like a VW Bug pulls up and like, oh
yes, we have a VW VW station wagon, but then the deputy pulls up in a Bug, giving the mayor a lift.
Yeah.
Then later on, we see him. He's driving like a station wagon when he runs up, and I can't remember what was going on, but there was some action going on, and he pulls up, jumps out of the car, and the next thing you know, you see the car pull into the shot again, and then somebody's getting out the passenger side. It was weird. I couldn't figure out who the hell's driving this car and who's in there with him.
Continuity.
It was interesting.
You're paying way too much attention.
Yeah, for a movie where
it was great. That was great.
You know, listen, this is what you do when you're making a no budget movie. You take your dad's car and you stick a light on top, and it's a cop car.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, no cop would ever drive it. The next slide is George Stover. So this guy, he was in a lot of John Waters films. I think almost all of them. He's in all of Don Dohler's films. He was a Baltimore local actor. And I would just keep seeing him. I was like, oh, he's in, I would see him in Castle of Frankenstein. Obviously, I saw him in Cinemagic and all this stuff. And I finally got to meet him in person. 20, 30, 40 years after all this, he looks exactly the same. A little grayer. He's got this baby face quality that just, and it's fun to occasionally, I see him. I see him in little bit parts and everything. He seems like a really cool guy. He was very cool at the convention I saw him at. And
117 credits.
Look at these things. MILFs versus zombies.
Hardly any of them.
He can
Seven Sins of the Vampire.
Call Girl of Cthulhu. Do you know how angry I am right now that I did not come up with the idea of Call Girl of Cthulhu? That's going to eat away at me until I die.
Invasion of the Reptoids.
Crackoon. You know, forget Cocaine Bear. How about Crackoon?
Crack kills was the tagline.
We're back in the gutter with the tagline.
Oh no!
Yeah, here's one: MILFs versus zombies.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll tell you, that movie is terrible. George, forgive me. That movie is a chore to get 5 minutes into it, and you're looking to open up an artery.
All right. Well, here's the one person I knew in the film.
Yay.
Richard Dizell. Dick Dizell, also known as Count Gore Duvall. I grew up watching him in Washington, D.C.
I literally spoke to this guy a few weeks ago at RavenCon.
Oh, nice.
Had I known, I would have brought this up or something. I didn't realize he was in this. And there he is in front of the set that they were so proud of that set, because this is a basement.
Oh my God.
Someone's
Everything
basement.
was shot there.
Yeah.
I never, I mean, I heard of him, but never was on any show, any station that was available to us.
He's a fun guy. He's a fun guy at conventions. He'll give your wife a hickey if you give him half a chance, and
he will indeed.
Yeah.
Maybe if he
took Shauna by surprise.
If you look the other way.
And he's still got a lot of energy. I hope he does this forever.
Yeah, he still does Count Gore Duvall. So
yeah.
He was probably dressed up as Count Gore Duvall at your convention.
Yes, he was. I would not have recognized him if he walked around like this. Of course, I'm one of those people. Clark Kent takes his glasses off and is like, "Where did Clark go?" Superman. So I think, is that Forey Ackerman at the bottom?
That is Forey, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh man.
He's got some stories.
There's Aunt Ruth in the top.
Yeah.
And we know it's Aunt Ruth because George Stover calls her Aunt Ruth at every opportunity.
Yep.
Yes. To
remind you that.
But he made a good mayor, though. I believe he was in the mayor.
Yeah.
He's also the mayor, I think, in Night Beast. I don't know. He didn't
Sure
survive this movie, but somehow they resurrect him for Night Beast.
He didn't die. They just thought he was dead back in the backyard.
Just wounded.
He got better.
He played dead, which is smart.
I
Oh
was
man.
dead, but I got better.
So we got Ernest Farino.
Yes, Ernest D. Farino. So, okay, Cinemagic was one of the things about Cinemagic is there was an ad in it for a magazine about Ray Harryhausen, which is, FXRH. It was the 4th issue, the only one I was able to snag. He did 4 amazing issues. This was so good. I mean, this magazine is not like a fanzine. It's super professional and really got into how Ray did his effects and everything. So that just totally got me into stuff. He was brought in to fix the ending because the original Lemoyde was done by Britt McDonough, I think his name was. And he would do articles in Cinemagic about how to make stop motion models out of wire and paper towels. And that's what it looked like. And I guess they decided they needed something just a bit more professional. And he came up with what I think is a pretty cool design. The problem is he had to use the footage that was already shot, take out the original Lemoyde and reshoot using the background plates, which for reasons I don't entirely understand. I've been in this position. When they were filming this, they really needed to have the stop motion animator there to tell them to do things like do not move the bleeping camera. It is really hard. You got to put this model in front of the plates that you've shot, the background footage, one frame at a time, and try to animate so that when the guy is swinging, he connects and everything. Hard to do under the best of circumstances. When the camera's handheld or swinging around, that's madness, absolute insanity. So I think that might be one of the reasons why the creature was transparent, to maybe hide some of the dodgy effects there, and the fact that this is not easy to do. Even some of Ray's stuff doesn't always work when you do it this way. There's such an obvious grain difference between the background footage and the stop motion creature that's filmed separately. And they also did make it an invisible monster. I think he said there's some line in there. He's hard to see in the light or hard to see in the dark, or he's just hard to see. So they made him transparent. I like the stop motion.
Yeah.
So this is we're talking about. This is the original.
That's the original, and that looks like wire and paper towels.
Yeah, it does.
And latex. It's actually not half bad. It's on YouTube. You can just look up the alien factor missing footage, and you'll get back a AI reply saying, "Are you really looking for missing footage from the alien factor? What went wrong with your life that this?" And then it spits this up, and it's there.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's yeah. So what you're saying about moving the camera and that kind of stuff, that explains why Zachary is reacting to blows that don't land in a lot of places, right? There's like visible space between them.
Yeah,
and I couldn't never quite figure out how he killed it.
No, that's he was swinging wildly and never seemed to connect, and then just decided, I'm tired. Laid his head and went to sleep and
laid down, flopped his tail.
Yeah, not a lot of thought went into that.
The gravitational pull of the Earth was too great for the creature.
Okay, so there's three creatures. There's this version of the Lemoid.
The Lemoid was supposed to be the intelligent alien that was.
That he
had the designs on everything that was running.
I don't really, I never really saw any evidence.
Who was the white-haired one?
The one that was on the ground.
Up that he.
Yeah, I don't think they ever.
He sucked the purple stardust out of.
Yeah, I mean, whoever that was, Edgar.
Was that the pilot of the ship? Maybe.
I believe that was. Yeah. And I guess he was sent to clean up the mess. Yeah, look, there's a lot that's unexplained here.
It's a lot that you guys just take for granted.
Here's the cockroach monster, Inferbyce.
Which looked pretty decent. I mean, you got to get... Okay, so for, the fact that they never try to hide the creatures at all, they're just like... They're just like nature, right? They're out in nature, and that's just kind of what...
These guys walk right into them, literally walk into them.
I mean, it's...
In fairness, they didn't know what they were looking for.
Somehow, I don't know how, but even though it's a guy in a suit, it works some stupid reason.
It's funny.
Any idea why?
There's something about practical effects look better than bad CGI because they're real. It does look like it's a real monster because even if this were just a guy in a suit beating me about the head and shoulders with a stick, that would be close enough to a real threat, a real monster. It looks cool because it is cool. I don't think they photographed it terribly well. It's black, so it's already kind of hard to see the features. I don't know that the insect quality of it came through the way if you see some of the behind the scenes shots and everything. Oh yeah, it's like a giant black locust or something, locust monster. But that wasn't always easy to tell in the movie. And God, that must have been a nightmare to be in. This, I tell you, the woods look so much like where I grew up. I grew up in upstate New York. Maybe it's in the same latitude as Maryland or whatever. This could have been my backyard. This looks exactly like my backyard. The rocks and everything. I swear I recognize one of those rocks, but I guess that's not likely.
Maybe it rolled downhill. And then we got this. This is the weird Bigfoot looking monster.
Yeah.
Because I love the stilts.
Oh, man, that is so
I wish you had a picture of it of the feet.
Oh, I got a picture of it. I'll get it here.
And they should have shot more of it indoors because this was actually a pretty cool little sequence and it looked good and it showed the monster off well. But then once they get outside, again, if you don't know how to use lenses and light sources, cameras back then did not have any auto anything. It was all manual, and you didn't know if you got it right until you got it developed and came back and you're like, damn, well, that's too dark. Put John in the suit again. It's not. It was a different kind of movie making, very difficult to get right, and they did not get it right a lot of the time. Which is too bad because it's a great monster. Look at that. I mean, that could not have been fun to wear. Those
maybe for a half second, and then you're like, oh, what the hell did I do?
Yeah. How many times did he go ass over tea kettle wearing this, walking around on those stilts?
I love it. That's a great way to put it. And here's some of the
special effects.
A lot of digital kind of.
Well, that's just force
animated
perspective
stuff,
there,
yeah.
and it's good force perspective. It's good. I always like seeing that in Equinox or here. You just got that model on a table.
Oh yeah.
And it worked. It worked just fine. It took way long to get to it. And listen, okay, so what a geek I was. I had these, I wish I still have them somewhere packed away. These Devo glasses that look like Cyclops from X-Men that would make these rainbow lights.
Yes.
And they have printed on the side, do not operate heavy vehicles while wearing these. It's like, why not? It makes a long, boring highway trip a lot more exciting and pretty.
Imagine it would. Oh my gosh. Oh, let's go through the creatures one more time. we got the
Inferbyce,
right, and we got
the Zagatile,
and we got
the Lemoid.
All right, and then of course we also have the real look of. Well, 1 second. We also have the real. This is the real look. This creature here is what our hero turns into, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Our very suspect hero.
Until the Lemoid takes away so much of his energy that he's no longer able to sustain the porn star mustache and the rest of his disguise.
Too bad. Too bad.
He turns right back into this.
Yeah,
he tries to explain this to the girl.
The whole thing where he's you see this glowing whatever the heck it was in between his legs.
Well,
there you go.
Yeah.
Look at this.
There it is.
Oh, isn't that the best? I mean,
I want to know how many times he fell and busted his ass in the snow and ice.
He's on the ice. He's on the ice. It would have been risky under any circumstance, but with these horrible stilts,
he did pretty good.
They did. They did make it look like toes, though. They put like little toes on the end.
They got little toes in. First, I was thinking, are those little car ramps? You use for changing your oil, or those?
Oh my gosh,
something smaller. But I forgot, what were you talking about before about the? Oh, him. They start off with that little thing, and they didn't explain anything at all. Like this has way too much dialogue, but then all of a sudden out of nowhere you see a guy wearing pants from the waist down and his legs spread, and you see this little glowing thing kind of I don't know what
movie did you watch?
No, I know what he's talking about. And I was like,
but it was
I've seen this a bunch, and I still don't remember what. Yeah, they're trying to establish that he's transforming.
Yes, but it took him a while to get there. After two or three more times of that,
were we the viewers supposed to not realize that this guy was an alien?
Yes,
who just happened to keep showing up with alien guns and alien this and alien that and alien powers and knew way too much about the aliens.
Yep. I didn't care by that point. I just thought it was cool that he
was supposed to be from what was he supposed to be from, the observatory?
The Garrett Observatory.
Yeah, the observatory.
Yes. I just talked to the Garrett Observatory, and
the only bit of subterfuge was that he looked like such an ordinary guy. As if I were an alien, I'm going to pretend to be a human. I'm going to look like Michael Rennie or, someone a little imposing, but
not this guy.
No, this guy would not be accepted for a beer commercial.
This guy looked like Ron Jeremy and Gene Simmons had a love child.
Oh, wow. Well, now I can't unsee that.
They're so cruel.
But accurate. But fair.
I thought that spaceship was kind of cool. The one that was crashed. And did they use that from someplace else, or did they actually?
No, and I am 100% sure there was an article about the making of this spaceship and what common auto parts or whatever they used and everything.
Is that just a perspective shot?
Yep, just 100% a good and a pretty well done perspective shot. That doesn't always work, but I thought they did a snap up job there. And again, a lot of these effects, these lights and everything, I don't know how much of this was post-production or they did it in camera. Super 8, there was a way you could film something with your Super 8 camera, do it in the dark and take the film out and with your finger, push it back in and then do a double exposure. This is the furthest thing from an exact science that could possibly exist. And
I have a question for you, Bill, that has nothing to do with this movie, but I've been meaning to ask you for a long time. We did the Coffin Joe movie, the first one. When it was At Midnight, I'll Take Your Soul. Mm-hmm. And there's a place where he's walking through the woods, and the living dead of the people he's killed are coming for him. And the one guy has like shimmering, aura around him. Mm-hmm. And Coffin Joe, the actual guy who made the movie, said that they put glitter on each frame of the inner positive. I think they said.
You could do that, but it would look like pants. I mean, listen, I did like laser blasts that I would scratch the emulsion on the film.
Right.
And it looks like scratching emulsion on a film. You can do that, but it looks pretty.
Well, it doesn't look great, but it doesn't look the thing about it was it looks like nothing you've ever seen. They weren't real careful to make it exactly the same, so it's kind of.
Well, it couldn't be the same. It was glitter.
You would never.
But it gave it was an interesting looking effect.
I gotta check it out now.
Almost a glowing effect, like a glowing halo around him with sparkles.
It's on Shudder.
Oh, I'll go check it out then.
Towards the end of the movie.
He's a clever guy. He did a lot of very cool stuff with sets and everything. So
anyway, back to this movie. Sorry.
Well, I want to follow up that question. So, Bill, you said this movie was highly influential. You've spoken about it a lot, but in what ways? What other ways? Did it influence you?
It made me
just
want
inspire
to make
you.
Movies. Yes, it made me want to make movies. It made me realize that there were other people who wanted to do this. It was the wrong time. It was a little bit ahead of its time. It wasn't until really social media was able to have all these people. Here's this kid in this town and this kid in this town. Everything. We're finally able to meet together, get the right people and all. Because I made some Super 8 movies with my friends. No, we're never going to show them. But your friends are not as into it as you are. That's what you.
Right.
So you turn to stop motion animation. It's like, I'll make my own friends and you start playing with clay dolls and stuff. But it just opened up my eyes that people can actually make movies. Regular folk, ordinary Joes like you and me can make film. And that was just absolutely cool. It just showed that there was a bigger community out there than I was aware of. In my little upstate New York hometown that makes this place look like Metropolis. Although we had better cop cars.
A Larry Fessenden movie, and he talks a little bit about that as finding people who are just, they're new enough and they're just excited about making a movie that they show up.
Yeah,
that was the hard part. Finding people that show up that aren't getting paid.
And you know what?
When it's all over with, if anything comes of it, then you can pay them.
Yeah, nothing will come of it. But the thing is, the ones who show up are going to look a lot like the people who showed up for this movie. Just regular. They're not going to be the good-looking guys. They're too busy dating all the girls you fell in love with to be shooting movies with you.
What was the Peter Jackson movie we did on 80s? The Alien one.
He had to throw himself over a cliff.
Yeah. But it took him like a year to make it, I think.
Bad taste.
No,
bad taste. That's it. Yeah. People got to keep showing up, and they,
different
haircuts change. And
the toughest thing to find. There's a lot of people out there who are good directors. There's a lot of great special effects people, makeup people, all these things. The toughest role to find is producer. 100%. That's if it weren't for like Christine Parker, I wouldn't have gone on, because that's a skill set I don't have. And you find that person who can, sometimes they have to be a taskmaster because it's like herding cats, but they have the vision and they are willing to see it through, and they're just stubborn enough to see it through. And that's the sort of person you really want to get on the team, because without them, nothing else happens. And I guess I think that's what he really wanted to do, but he sort of, he didn't seem to me like someone who had a passion for directing. He just liked making movies, and no one else was going to direct it. Yeah. I guess he was.
Yeah, because I met you, Bill, for the first time on the set of Fix It and Post.
Wow, really?
Remember that back in the day?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, I can close my eyes. I can actually see you.
And it took us a year to film that over weekends.
Yeah,
I own a copy of that.
You have a copy?
Yeah, I have a copy of it.
Oh, okay. It was a fun script, and yeah, overly ambitious. But that's the thing, you're going to devote a year of your life to making something. The original idea for Alien Factor was going to be just a parody about Jack Black, ass kicker of the monsters, whatever. And then they decide, no, let's cut down the number of monsters, because it sounded like a bad idea. It's just one guy fighting one monster after another. They're going to have 15 monsters. Jeez. Let's cut down the number of monsters and make a straight horror movie. And yeah, okay, if you're going to do that, why not make it ambitious? Why not, more stuff than you really can pull off?
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Try to climb that mountain, even if you don't have
Mm-hmm.
any hands, and maybe you'll learn something and you have a good time. And at least when it's over, it's not going to be Sharknado 3. Oh yeah, it sucks, but we meant it for it to suck. No, these guys did not mean for their movie to suck. You may well believe it does, but that was not their intention.
Yeah.
They weren't winking at you. Look, this movie's stupid. You shouldn't be watching it. Okay. That's the attitude I see way too much now.
Mm-hmm.
Old man yells at clouds.
No. And that's it. If you're looking for a good movie and you start watching, because that's what I did the first time I saw it. I was looking for a movie that I would be interested in, and I watched like 5 minutes of it and went, "Well, this ain't it."
Yeah.
Had these goofy. I mean that phone call was like, "Hey, Pete, Rex is dead and Mary Jane's over here. Ted and Vance are bringing Rex's body in."
Like, whoa, slow down. I got to write this down.
To Ruth and Steve and Mary Jane's folks and Rex's dad. And I'm like, what the hell?
Make sure you call the mayor and have him show up.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, man. Is there anything else we can say about this movie before we move on to our feedback?
God bless you, Don Dohler.
There you go. Now you got more to cover, right?
It's not for everybody. It's like Bill said, you got to have some kind of appreciation for and love for making movies to appreciate how this movie was made. And so that's what I got from it. That I picture like one of us going out in the backyard and shooting a movie, and and that's how, and just having fun with it, and making something that you think is interesting and that people might want to see, and something fun. It was fun. I had fun watching it because that's the
right.
That's
the idea I had sitting through it.
I think I saw this around the same time I saw Equinox, and they have a lot in common, which is just a bunch of young folks decide to go out and shoot a movie. Now I think the difference is the filmmakers who made Equinox had more talent.
They went to school for it.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing, and there's a lot more variety of shots, and it's better photographed and just much easier edit on the eyes. But okay, not everything.
They had that same spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's
the last scene I want to mention is when Zachary was getting ready to go over to the white-haired alien and feel his thinking.
Shake him down.
Yeah. He tells, I think he's with, I forget her name now, but the journalist. But anyway, he says, shh. And then he goes walking across, and he's got this weird pose with one arm out and the other arm back, and he goes walking along that way. It was just very weird.
Walk this way.
Yeah, it kind of was. So that was it.
It's too rad.
I love that. I love that tall monster, and those are like little pinchers or something, even though they didn't give a lot of.
Give credit for the ending too. The ending is a typical 70s downer. The Earth makes you wonder who the real monsters are.
Oh my! All right. Well,
it's us.
Yeah,
it's us. It's us. Oh gosh. All right. Well, make sure you check this movie out, and we'd love to hear your comments. So leave your comments down below, and of course, hit the like, subscribe, share with a friend buttons. Every button you click will help us find another movie fan just like you. And of course, you can also join our Patreon. And if you do, we are currently doing Call Check the Night Stalker for patron only exclusive reviews. All 20 episodes. We just started with episodes 1 and 2 in the can. And it'll go, into 2025 as we do all 20 episodes every other week. So I'm looking forward to that. And all you have to do is for minimum amount on Patreon, and you can check those out. So, Jeff, is it time to move into feedback?
Well, sure. I'm going to take the first couple. They're pretty short. This first one was under episode 177, The Legend of Lizzie Borden, from Fernando Anthony 63. After I set the speed to 1.5 times, this video only seemed somewhat slow and mumbling. Now, I think he's talking about the podcast.
Yeah, probably. If you set it at 2 speed, Jeff actually has a whiny voice like I do.
No.
I must sound like a chipmunk at double speed.
Well, I do, and I tend to talk slow. So if I get speeded up like to 25%, that sounds kind of normal. Anyway, well,
they're not all winners. They all can't be.
Yeah, well.
And then episode 192, Let's Scare Jessica to Death. Robert Mueller, 2023 again. He's commenting, Duncan, recent initiate to small town living. If there was a place, I sure wouldn't tell you. He keeps posting like every week a line out of the movie Let's Scare Jessica to Death. Or a comment about the small town living. All right, moving to episode 211. Trog. From Jerry Chandler.
Wow,
Is this time for Bill? Are you up for that one?
Oh, sure. Speaking about Trog, our friend Jerry says, I love Trog. Yeah, it has its flaws, but it was a fun monster movie in its day, and it's still a fun monster movie today. It's a caveman. Who didn't want to find a caveman back when they were younger? Sure, you might not want to have found this caveman, but it still plucks at that string left over from childhood. It's probably why I like movies like this and Dinosaurus, a caveman you wouldn't mind finding as much as I do. It plays in that realm of lost worlds and the creatures from a long bygone era surviving into the present day, which is likely also the reason so many adults, me, still believe in Makela Mbembe, Caddy, Nessie, Champ, Ogopogo, and Normie. Okay, I don't believe in Normie, but the others, we'll see. I don't care if movies like this are a little flawed. There's still enough of a kid in many of us that these movies, especially if we saw them when much younger than we are now, still like that spark they did when we were a kid. But yeah, that head was definitely too big for the body.
But that's the point.
Yeah.
But Joan Crawford. All righty. And then, well, we have another one from Jerry. I don't know who wants this. A short one. On episode 213, Daughters of Darkness.
Jerry Chandler says, oh, well, at least Chad might enjoy the eventually to be reviewed vampires more than this. Not much more will happen overall in that movie, but the scenery is better.
Oh my. Wow. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. He's not lying.
All right.
That's where he goes. You guys talk. I hear you talking about these movies, and I go watch them, and that's all true. Episode 214, To the Devil a Daughter, from Robert Baker. Doc, take it.
My turn. All right. Robert Baker says, the Hammer horror that somehow doesn't feel like a Hammer horror movie. The first time I saw this was when a friend of mine loaned me his VHS copy many, many years ago. I watched it and then promptly forgot everything about it. Then when I saw Scream Factory was going to release it on Blu-ray, I decided to pick it up and give it another try. And like you guys, I found myself enjoying it. Agree, everything works until the last few minutes, but considering it was the last Hammer film of the 70s, it could have been worse. And I think I see the seeds of what the Hammer TV series would be like that was coming a bit later. Yes.
Possibly.
Yes.
Moving on to episode 215, our last episode. Which came out
our most recent, not our last. We've got many more to come.
That was the description I meant to say.
We're ending on that note.
Most recent. Episode 215, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. And Robert Baker, we are at Bill Mulligan, I believe, again.
Okay, Robert Baker says of Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. Just listen to this week's episode, and I do like this movie, but I agree with wanting more of the backstory of the creatures. The remake did go into that in more detail and also introduced a connection to the old horror writer Arthur Machen's folklore horror tales. But even with that, I still prefer the original. Also was glad to hear some talk of The Circle of Fear and the Sixth Sense TV shows. Most don't remember those series nowadays, it seems.
True.
Yeah,
that is true. Thank you, Robert. And next up is on Don't Be Afraid of the Dark is Gregory Crosby. Chad.
Gregory says, while I have a vivid memory of seeing Gargoyle at the tender age of 5, I'm pretty sure I saw this one when it was rebroadcast in 1978 as well. And while I have yet to rewatch it, I remember that it most definitely creeped me out as a kid as well, primarily because my grandparents' house had one of those little doors next to the fireplace for firewood.
Oh,
yikes. He's here. Open the door. I easily imagine these creatures on the other side of that door. Looking forward to watching this for the first time in nearly 50 years. Perhaps I'll make it, 50 years.
I know.
Perhaps I'll make it a double feature with Karen Black and her Zuni fetish doll in Trilogy of Terror. And then enjoy some tiny nightmares when I go to bed.
Tiny nightmares.
Get yourself another set of sheets.
Tiny nightmares. I love
Tiny
it.
nightmares.
And last but not least on Don't Be Afraid of the Dark from Jose.
Is it me again?
Yep.
Yeah.
Jose.
Newly acquired.
What?
Wow. I heard every word syllable. Jose says, wow, this one.
Oh my God.
I saw this as a child, but I was only 4 when it first broadcast. So I have a feeling it was a mystery movie rebroadcast you mentioned in 75. I remember it scaring me. The little goblin guys remind me of wrinkly skin from being in the pool or bathtub too long. And they look kind of wet. It really creeped me out. Now I want that Warner's Blu-ray. Talk to Jeff.
Does he know about shrinkage?
It was not listed when we did this, but now it is. So I think it was one of those.
We get results.
Warner Archives does stuff. Yeah, I sometimes wonder that. Chad and I talked about that before. That it seems like a lot of stuff we do, suddenly you start seeing it talked about a bunch of places.
Wow. How about
manifest? They manifest it.
Yeah, how about kicking some filthy lucre our way?
Well, Warner Archive, I think, is sort of a
it's a buy on demand.
But every once in a while, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, something will turn up on Amazon that hasn't been there for a while that they said was out. All right, that's it for the feedback for this episode. Please be sure to leave feedback for us. Tell us about your experiences with these movies, what you like, what you didn't like. If we mumble and we go too slow and you had to turn it up to 1.5 speed, that's okay. That's okay. We do that too.
Sometimes it's best.
Strong headlines.
We are not the fast talking scripted guys that do their stuff in 5 minutes. So
this ain't a Ben Shapiro joint here.
Leave us feedback.
Yep. Also,
leave it on the movies. You can leave it send it to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com on the YouTube page. I'm sorry.
Yep. And also leave us recommendations. We'd love to hear movies that you would want us to review.
Please.
Yes.
We have like a year's worth of recommendations for each of the different decades of war right now.
Yeah, but half of them are the Swarm. So.
The Swarm times 5. Sometimes they're not available.
Retire happy. Whenever we do the Swarm, I'll retire happy.
There you go. We'll have to do that soon then. All right.
I won't discourage
not to get you retired, just so you can be happy. All right. We do have a pick for the next episode, and Bill Mulligan picked it. This is going to be very interesting.
Let me paint a picture. Doc. It's 1970. 10-year-old little Billy Mulligan is playing on the playground.
Billy Mulligan.
Looking much the same as I do now, but my beard was all brown. And the only thing everyone wanted to talk about was that there was a movie playing at the drive-in that was so horrifying, so disgusting, so nauseating that they gave you a barf bag when you bought your ticket. And we all asked our parents to go see Mark of the Devil. And because our parents were good parents, they said, hell no.
That's right.
But Mom, they give you a barf bag. And she just looked at me like, where did I go wrong?
It was rated X, wasn't it?
I think it was. It was no. It was rated B for violence.
Oh.
Yeah, really. Yeah. It was, and so I have not seen this movie because
to this day,
because my mom still won't take me to the drive-in to go see it. So I'm gonna have to take the bull by the horns, take some responsibility for my own life, and watch this movie.
Long drive to a drive-in these days.
There you go.
Yeah. Luckily, it's on Shudder. I'll just watch it.
And this is a German film.
Sprechen.
The original title was Hexen bis aufs Blut.
And much to my surprise, it's got Udo Kier and handsome leading man Reggie Nadler, who saved them a bundle with makeup because he's terrifying looking in just his normal life.
Yeah, this is currently showing on Prime and Tubi. So
that's okay. I said Shudder. No, Prime and Tubi. You're right.
Mark of the Devil.
Hi, I'm Mark.
This is the devil.
I'm of the devil. This is Sky. You crazy Chad.
Yep.
You got us all doing it though, so good for you.
Well done.
My plans are coming to fruition.
All right. Well, Chad, Bill, Jeff, thank you for joining me. This was a wonderful episode, wonderful time.
Yeah.
And a wonderful movie. Bill and Chad. I know you guys.
Good job, Chad.
Yeah.
Good
Bill.
pick,
Chad.
It's definitely was an experience. If nothing else, it was experience.
I'll take the praise while I can get it because the next one I pick's probably not going to be.
I was probably afraid to pick this one because I was like, they're all going to hate me for this, but I underestimate you guys as I often do.
You got to be like me, Bill. Be fearless. Just pick it.
Fearless.
Let it ride.
So you'd never seen it before, but did you kind of know about its reputation or
me?
Yeah, Chad.
Yeah, I've heard of it, and like I said, I saw that creature on the cover of Famous Monsters, but I never knew where
it came from.
What movie it was from, or anything, because I don't think I read the issue or whatever. But over the years, I've heard the alien factor, people mentioning it and stuff like that, but never watched it. Thanks to channels like Tubi and all those channels now, we watch stuff like that.
All right. Well, let's say goodnight and get out of here.
All righty.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, y'all.
Hang on a minute. Malfunction.
Cue the music.
Good night.